Okay, so we're on day three of the 5-day challenge. Special thanks to Kathy yesterday for sharing that with us. Geez, you got a lot of support in the group, which was so beautiful to see. And I had messages from people going like, wow, this is amazing. So so grateful that you stood up. I know that this was so huge for you. Before we get in today, can I just ask you, how are you feeling today? Yeah, I'm just trying to unmute you, but I think you have to unmute yourself. How are you feeling today after that?
Really good. Really good. It really lightened my load, to be honest. It really gave me food for thought, and it was great. I had a great afternoon on the beach thinking about everything, so it was really positive.
Awesome.
Great.
That's so beautiful. I mean, yeah, everyone, even people in the replay were saying, oh my God, I could feel. Natalie said you look refreshed. You do.
I feel it. Thank you.
You do look brighter. Yeah, it's like seriously, doing this mindset work is better than having a holiday.
Yeah.
Has anyone noticed that you can go on a holiday and then you come back and you go and you step back into your life and you go, oh, I feel just as awful as I did when I left. What happened? It's because you can holiday from your home and from your job, but you can't holiday from your own head. Okay, you take that with you. So yeah, beautiful. Please feel welcome to share your journey over the next couple of days. I know that we've only got until Friday to catch up with you, but yeah, any sort of insights or realizations that you have from that would be beautiful to share. I know everyone's following this, and everyone's super interested to see how this sort of transcends and transpires for you. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay, so day 3. So what we're back into mindset work today. Oh, which is just like so juicy. I love mindset work. So thanks for the others that have just jumped on. Pana, thanks for jumping on. Julie, I can see you, and Amanda, I can see you. Oh, Denise, thanks for jumping on. Who else haven't I said hello to? I've said hello to Jennifer. Leslie, you've put your hand up for some mindset work at the end of today's call. Yeah, that's right? So I'll you at the end of the day, or at the end of today's call, and we'll get on to that. So that'll be super cool. Okay, so just a quick recap on what we've covered so far. Oh, can I actually do that in like 5 minutes? So day 1, we really started to talk about belief systems. Let me just see just to make sure. So day 1 was sort of really talking about belief systems, why it is that these belief systems, and when I'm talking about belief systems, it's like, it's the unconscious drivers. It's the unconscious sort of like paradigm of how we operate in the world. And it serves a purpose, by the way, because if you had to, like, our unconscious mind is responsible for a whole bunch of stuff. It gets us to breathe. It's, like our sort of, like, it gets our body to operate. It gets us to move and do things without thinking. Because if we had all this stuff in our front mind and in our executive center, we'd never get anything done, because you actually need to have all of these programs on autopilot. For example, when you very first learned to drive a car, do you remember like your first driving lesson? Geez, you're like sitting there and you're like paying so much attention. But then through repetition, it just goes into your subconscious and you just jump in the car and you go. Can you see how that serves a purpose? Can you imagine if every time you jumped into your car, it was as stressful as that very first driving lesson? You'd never get anywhere. Like, you'd seriously just be stuck. So that's like, I've just used that analogy because it's one most of us have learned to drive, so we can relate to that. So our subconscious serves a purpose because it puts things in autopilot that we do on repetition. It keeps us safe. Like, for example, if you're crossing the road and a bus is on its way to hit you, you don't stop and evaluate, is the bus likely? You don't have a conscious thing. You just get the hell out of the way, and then you reflect and actually think about it. So our subconscious serves a purpose, but it also has a dark side to it. And that is when you've got a bunch of programming in there that is not serving you. So when we do mindset work, we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There is so much that is so beneficial to you right now, but there's also a hell of a lot that isn't. And I laughed when I saw Meg posted up into the group that she had a giggle when I said that, that when you're 0 to 6, that age bracket, you really are in a deep hypnotic state. That's where the majority of your belief systems are formed. Interestingly, one of the things that I did when I was studying the brain last semester was which I found super interesting, is a 6-year-old actually has more connections and more neurons in their brain than a 12-year-old. Like, how cool is that? Because it's from 6 onwards that we actually start pruning the connections, the ones that surface and the ones that don't. But by the way, from sort of ages 6 to 12, you're still not out of that hypnotic state. You're just a little bit more awake than you were before. So I found that really interesting, because we are just sponges and we just make connections. We don't discern at that age what is true for us and what's not, what's going to serve us and what isn't. We basically just take it all in, as we should, because it keeps us protected with our people. But, you know, I wouldn't hire my parents as my hypnotherapist. I'm sure that you guys probably wouldn't either, but essentially that's kind of what we've done. So don't go too hard on yourself. You know, just, and by the way, they were just doing the best that they could on the particular day as well. So that's why belief systems are so important to check out. Then yesterday we discussed stress and why values then comes into this, because our belief systems are one thing. And this is one of the things that I do find is missing with a lot of mindset coaches out there, is that they don't go into values. They just go, what is it that you want? And let's just work on that. Well, I know with certainty that a really important piece of this puzzle is to actually really clearly get to know what your values are, because your values is what your life is already demonstrating, and you'll naturally go back to your value systems. Okay. You might beat yourself up for living in them because you've got a set of beliefs or you're subordinating to outside authorities, but eventually you'll go back to living inside your value systems. The majority of people that find themselves on my programs have a high value in their career or their business, a high value on family, and a high value on health. Is that everyone that's here? I'm just curious. Awesome. I've nailed it again. So this is good. This is the law of attraction, that I attract people that have similar values to me. But your values you might have some other ones that are slightly different. Your number one value is what really kind of is the driving force. Like, if you have a number one value on your business or your career, you'll do whatever it takes for that. If you have a number one value on health, you will sacrifice other things to make sure that, you know, you're drinking green smoothies for breakfast or whatever that means to you. And if you have a high value on family, you'll drop everything for your family. Okay. That's, you know, and by the way, values change, you know, values do change, because if you've got small children, your value on family is probably a lot higher than if your kids are all, you know, moved out of home. You know, like, our values shift over time. So that's why it's really important to revisit values on a semi-regular basis. In the Mastermind program, I do go into this in a lot more detail, and I have other ways of actually determining what they are, in addition to the challenge that you did last night. So last night's challenge was probably a little challenging for people. I would imagine that some of you are sitting there going, oh, I have no idea what, you know, like, it was really hard to answer those questions. Don't worry. I remember the very first time that someone stuck that worksheet in front of me, I was like, are you serious? But it made me realize how I had no idea of what was actually going on. So if you did find it challenging, then just, I get it. I've been there. I remember just sitting there going, oh, everyone else can answer these. Why am I finding these simple questions so hard? This is part of the step of sort of actually waking up and mastering your life. Because for many of you right now, I can guarantee the subconscious mind and the mind has really been mastering your life. Like, you've been letting the mind just kind of, you know, run wild and do whatever it wants. And the reason that I call this a mastermind program is because the mind should be the servant, not the master. You know, it's a tool that you get to use to get what it is that you desire out of life. Like, your soul's purpose should be the master. And I know for the majority of people, it's simply not. And I know that, like, hey, I've been there. So that's what this program is really about, is getting you to actually understand how your mind's working, so that instead of just letting it run wild, you can actually take back the reins and go, actually, I'm going to steer you over here. It's so fun once you get into it. Super cool. Okay, so we then sort of talked about stress and values, because our values determine first of all, they determine where our stresses are, because if your values are challenged, that will send you into stress. It will send you into stress quicker than anything. If somebody challenges you on something that was low on your values, you wouldn't even notice it. Like, say for example, if low on your values is like, what could be one that's low? Like if socializing is sort of like not super high in your values, it's like something fun that you do if there's spare time, and somebody challenges you on it and says, no, you can't go to that social thing because we've got a family commitment. You'd probably go, yeah, that's fine, because family's high on my values. But if they did it the other way around and family's high on your values and somebody challenges you on that, it will stress you out. Okay. That's probably not a super stressful example that I've used, but do you guys get the gist of what I'm talking about there? Do you understand that our values are what actually causes us stress? So that's why it's really important to determine what they are. But on the lighter side, the brighter side, our values also determine what gives us maximum fulfillment in life. Okay. And so it's also, part of it is actually stepping out of that subordination to what other people want you to do, and actually owning what your values are. Like, I know this is something that that I personally do. If somebody asks me to do something, I will actually just consciously check in. My values are pretty tight. Like they weren't in the beginning. In the beginning, when I did that worksheet, I think I had like 7 random things that I was going, oh, is that even it? But now they're pretty tight. My highest value is my business, my family, particularly because I've got a 2.5-year-old son, and uni, like, so learning. Those 3 are pretty interchangeable. Health kind of comes distant, but it's in there, kind of. So once you kind of get to know your values, your top 3 are kind of where the magic lies. The magic will lie in the top 3 for you. And living a life that's on purpose. So this is the secret to living a life that's on purpose. And you go, is it that simple? Because I know that the personal development industry tries to mystify, and it actually really pisses me off, because it's almost like they try to like mystify it, like, oh, you've got to have this big purpose. And actually, I was talking to one of my old clients on the phone this morning, that she was like, I just feel like I'm in a bit of a rut at the moment, because shouldn't it be like really meaningful what I want to do? And I was like, you're complicating, like, I hadn't seen it for a few months. I said, like, you're complicating it based on what what's been sold to you about what living on purpose is. It's basically like, okay, so this is the secret. This is the secret to living on purpose. Write this down. You'll go, is that it? It's finding out what your top 3 values are, and then just spending a little bit of time each day doing that. Okay, like working towards fulfilling those. Now, that sounds really simple, but for some of you, I know that will be incredibly challenging, okay, because there'll be lots of stuff in there that you're doing because that's what you think you should be doing, or you think that will please others. So people pleasers in the room, you've got to watch out. How much of your life is congruent with your value systems? How much are you living in your value systems? Or how much are you living because you want to please other people or do what you think you should be doing? That's a big one. Now, the other thing is often you do what you want to do anyway, but then you just feel guilty about it. So mums in the room, especially working mums that drop their kids off at daycare, I mean, don't they try it on when you drop them off? I had that this morning. So keep that in mind. So often you will just go back to your values, but you feel guilty about it. Guilt is such a debilitating emotion. And for so many reasons, like all of this stuff contributes to your finances. Okay. Like, I know that I keep coming to money, but money doesn't buy you happiness, but it buys you choice, and it does buy you a sense of freedom. Would everyone agree with that? Like, it does. It's something that we do require. And guilt undermines it. But the other thing as well is guilt and shame. Oh my God, like on a cellular level, what that does to your physiology is like, I can't even put it into words. Like, it's, like the stats are that something like 80 to 90% of people in the Western world that go and see a healthcare professional are there for something that is stress related. If we could simply find ways to eliminate fear and guilt and shame and overwhelm, I wonder what the healthcare system would look like today. I suspect it would be completely different. I suspect plenty of people would be out of work, be looking for other things to do, because they are such, they like that stuff churns you up. And you can physically feel it in your body. It's not like you go, oh, is that like in my body? I had somebody on one of my groups that I'm in this morning. She messaged me, or no, she put a post into the group, and she was asking people, and she said she had a massive shift yesterday, and that she had, and that she'd physically felt it, and that she just felt nauseous the whole time. Not dissimilar to Kathy, what your story was. And she was like, what's going on? It was like, well, of course, like we have a cellular memory of our emotions. And once you clear that, like your body's going to take a little while to catch up. Okay, it's going to purge. It's going to be like, hang on a sec, this was my reality and you've shifted it. Now what do I do? So, amazing things can happen. Amazing things can happen to your physiology once you do get in alignment and get a really strong mindset. I've had all sorts of cool mind-body connection is an area that I used to focus on years and years and years ago. You can still see I've still got the old banner sitting up there. I haven't bothered replacing that. But I've had people that have been booked in for surgery and have done this process and cancelled it. I had one girl that was booked in for a hysterectomy. And once we cleared out a bunch of sexual abuse from when she was 18 months old, we cleared it. We just nailed that. Her body just started. It didn't go back to normal because it was like too far gone, but she didn't have to have the surgery. And we're now talking like 5-6 years on. I chat to Tanya every now and then, and she's like, no, I never needed the surgery after that. It's like my body just kind of, just receded. So that's why I'm so inspired to help people with stress, because you can become, you can really do some amazing stuff to your body. The other thing as well, have you ever noticed that, even just check in with your physiology. When you have those days that you're feeling inspired, do you notice that you bounce out of bed and you kind of sometimes even forget to drink coffee? Have you all had those days? And when you kind of don't really have much to do and you're feeling like a bit bleh, 5 cups of coffee in and you're still like, why can't I get motivated? Because having a goal, having a purpose, living inside our values, it does amazing stuff. Like it really does do amazing stuff to each and every one of us. Nobody's exempt on that. Okay, so that was a recap. I felt like that was really important to go over, because also some people that are listening in on these calls just pick 1 or 2 days. They don't watch the whole program. Okay, so when it comes to mindset, it's not just about mindset. There are other factors that we do need to involve in here, because the first one is our beliefs. Okay, so it's almost like if you can think of like your mindset and your goals as like sitting on a table, and there's 3 legs that are holding this up in order for you to actually move through it. Okay, so we need to kind of almost like take out all of the legs before you can have this breakthrough. And often keep in mind as well that often if you're about to have a breakthrough, often you will find that you go into like chaos. It's like the breakdown before the breakthrough. Okay, has anyone else experienced that? Have you experienced like a big breakdown before you've had this like massive breakthrough? Not all the time, but often you will experience a breakdown. You'll be like, I don't know what's going on, like everything feels crazy, I'm so confused, what's happening. Okay, so that's just something to keep in mind, so that if you know that it's coming, then you can kind of go, oh, that's right, that's what's happening here. And so you won't, Hira said, yes, she knows about that. So just, keep in mind that if things start to feel chaotic, great sign. Okay, like keep going. Now's not the time to back out, because you don't want to get stuck in that zone. Okay, the next part of this is the behaviors. Okay, looking at your behaviors and are they in alignment with your goal? Okay, so the first thing that we need to align with your goal is your belief systems and see where the resistance is. And the second thing is we need to look at the behaviors. Like, are your behaviors actually in alignment with what it is that you're looking to achieve? And what would be an example of this? So if you're looking to get a business up and running, Are your behaviors in alignment, or are you kind of flicking on Netflix rather than actually having a structured work day? That seems to be a common thing. Netflix has a lot to answer for. A lot of businesses never get going because of Netflix is what I'm starting to notice. But that's the thing. You've got to ask yourself, are your behaviors in alignment? If you're looking to lose weight, are you, you can have a strong mindset, but are you still, are you still eating cake every day? Are you still forfeiting going to the gym? Like, are your behaviors out of alignment with your mindset? Because that there is the secret that was left out of The Secret. Remember that book, that movie that was out like 15 years ago? They never talked about aligning the behaviors and actually taking action. So the first step is to have a goal and to have what it is that you want, and then start moving forward, because unless you're actually unless you've actually got motion towards it, you won't actually discover where your blocks are much of the time. You can do belief work and you can get yourself in a mindset. And sometimes this is where people they're getting ready to get ready. I'm getting ready to get ready. And they just kind of in this nothing ever happens, because it's like, I'm just focusing on like when I just do this, or when I've just learned this, or once I've just, cleared out this baggage. But mindset is only, like, your beliefs are only part of it. Like, getting your head in the right space is only part of it. If you're aligning your behaviors and looking at what is the goal that I want, and what are the behaviors that somebody that's going for a goal like that, what would they need to be doing on a semi-regular basis? What would they need to be doing? Whatever, like, if you're looking to lose weight, if you're looking to get healthier, then there's behaviors that go with that. We all know what they are. The internet is not shy of this sort of stuff. If we're looking to go for a particular job, okay, even if it's just a promotion, like if you're looking to get a promotion, but then you're, bitching about the management, is that behavior kind of in alignment? If you're aspiring to be a manager, but then you're undermining them, is that kind of in alignment? No, that's more of a worker mentality, not a management mentality. If you're looking to get your business up and running, how are you structuring your day? Because if you were going into an office, you'd probably have it very structured. You wouldn't be hanging out in the kitchen making cups of tea all day, would you? So just have a look at that. Identify what are the behaviors that you're doing, and in what way are they in alignment with your goal, and in what way are they just like so out of alignment? That's a really important question to ask yourself. But the most important question for today is, how badly do you want this? Like, how badly do you want this? How willing are you to change? Okay, that is the third leg of that needs to be addressed of your table. So that's where you ask, how badly do I want this, and am I prepared to change? Like, am I prepared to get structured and to be disciplined and to turn Netflix off? Am I willing to commit to going to the gym 2 or 3 times a week? Am I committed to, not eating sugar, or whatever that is, whatever your goal is. Even, and I know that there's people in here that are like, oh, I don't even have a goal and I'm blocked and I don't know. It was really interesting, Kathy, when you shared that, how many people opened up and were like, did you notice that as well? Lots of people in the forum were even like, I don't know what I'm going through the same thing. So, like, perfect example, because that helps so many people by them seeing that. Your goal can even be to get clear on what your values are, and to work out what it is that you desire. That can be a goal, but here's the disclaimer with that one. That is a very, very solid intention. I think that if you're feeling blocked right now, that is definitely an intention worth having. But at some point, you have to then step out of that into, this is what I want, because you can get stuck in there. You can get stuck in that, like, oh, I'm just, my goal is to work out what I want. And where's the cutoff of that? Okay, you can go there, but don't get stuck in that place. Like, get in, get out. Put a timeline on that one. That would be worth putting a timeline on. So the other thing as well is to also look at what your transformational patterns are. Okay, so this is something just to check out. Have a look at, in previous times when you've had a breakthrough, what was your pattern? What led you to that point just before? Now, I can remember many, many, many years ago. Now, I mean, I've been doing mindset work since I was 14 years old. Probably going, what? I remember, and I found a book with my very first mindset work in it. Only a couple of years ago when I was cleaning out a cupboard, and I was 14, and I'd written down all this stuff about how your subconscious mind, and I'd written all these notes, and I was like so inspired when I wrote that. And I remember in high school, often when, you know, my friends were reading, you know, trashy novels, I was reading books about the mind. So I feel like I'm you know, definitely qualified. I've been doing this. And I remember when I actually opened this book, it was only a few years ago, I was looking through my cupboard for some photos, and I remember opening this book. Oh my God, like the tears just started streaming down my face, because I was like, holy shit, this is exactly what I do now. like my transformational pattern was back there. It was to like study and like write these notes. So check in what your transformational patterns are. I then remember years later when I went to do my very first breakthrough experience with John Demartini, who's now, he's a significant mentor of mine now. I often help out at his events. For those also, I'm getting a podcast. It will be on my website very, very soon. And I did an amazing interview with John last time he was in Perth. I took him to the studios and we did an hour interview about the imposter syndrome. So check that out. That'll be on my website pretty soon as well. But I remember my transformation pattern was like, I watched him speak about 7 times before I actually took action and enrolled in his program. So ask yourself, what are your transformational patterns? Because that will that will speak volumes about where you get stuck. Because the thing is, you know, we do repeat Groundhog Day. You know, it's different, you know, circumstances. It's different, you know, it's different players, you know, different actors for, you know, in the story, but ultimately we are repeating patterns. You know, there's patterns that just keep repeating. I mean, Kathy was a beautiful example. That yesterday was just a pattern that you'd been taught from childhood, that's what it looks like. That's what life looks like. So breaking these patterns, first of all, to break them, you've got to identify what they actually are. So in the mastermind program, we do go into that. A big chunk of what we do is looking at transformational patterns, which is so important. Now, I'm not going to, now the other thing as well is how do you, I just, in one of my notebooks, I wanted to share this with you. It was just a note that I found this morning as well, I talked about victim mindset the last couple of days, and what I'd love you to all keep in mind as well is a victim mindset can be like this insidious little thing that just sort of like lurks in the shadows and tries to trick you. But anytime you say, I just can't seem to, or I just don't know how to, or whenever you kind of perceive that there's an outside power that's controlling your situation or something that's outside of you, just please catch yourself. This is victim mindset, and there are things that you can do about this. You know, also everyone that does enroll in the next mastermind, I'm doing this journaling course that you will get access to. That's something that will be pre-recorded. The reason that you guys get access to it is because I'm going to be doing it live, but I'm just going to be recording my face. Okay, so you don't have to worry, and I'm going to be going through exactly how to journal. Journal to change your mindset. And the reason that this is so important is because I want you guys to be empowered in this area. Okay, I really want you to be empowered in this particular area, that you can go, cool, I've got a block, sit down and know exactly what to do to transcend it and to move through it. Okay. Okay, so keep in mind that in order for this to work, there has to be a goal. Okay, there has to be a goal, because if you don't have a goal, what happens is you just operate on your default settings, and your default settings are whatever was put there in childhood. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you don't have a goal, you're just operating on default settings. So that's the real purpose of goals, as much as anything, is it kind of gets you to be able to identify where your blocks are, and where the resistance are. Now keep in mind, the bigger the goal, the greater the resistance and the greater the blocks that you're going to experience. Okay, so just be mindful of that. And it doesn't mean that you can't overcome them. You know, strive for the moon with this one. You know, there's definitely no, what's that saying? If you strive for the moon, you might just fall and land on a star. So think big with this. Okay, think big. But yeah, for those that are feeling blocked, set your goals. You know, this was day one's challenge, was to look at what are your goals. All of your obstacles that are in there are beliefs. Okay. Everything that was in the middle of that circle is where your victim mindset and your beliefs sit. Okay. And then when I asked you to actually identify them, that was just to kind of help you to see that, oh yeah, some of this is just mindset. Some of this is just me. Because also, if you do feel blocked right now, I want to work with you. I want you to be on the mastermind program if you're feeling blocked right now, because I'm particularly looking for people that want big shifts. Okay, I'm particularly looking for people that want big shifts. I'm looking for people that also don't have any idea what they want, and they're feeling scared and well, scared shitless about the future. And it's like, but are still willing to change. Okay, because if you join the mastermind, we can adjust your beliefs, we can look at your behaviors, but if you're not willing to change, not much will change. Okay, so that's the other thing, those that are looking to join the mastermind. Now, by the way, everybody that's registered for this program, you automatically, and also those that popped an emoji in the comments last night, for those that were inside the group last night on Facebook, you guys all qualify to get $500 off. So this is going to be huge, this one. And you also get the journaling course as a bonus. And that's partly because you guys are going to help me actually create that course by the questions that you ask me. So that's sort of like my gift to you, and that will sell for $297 normally, but that's thrown in. Okay, so the mastermind program, I'm just going to quickly share what that's about, because I know a lot of you here are actually interested. Now, I think there's about 150 of you that have registered. There's places for about 10% of you. And I know about 90 of you have been watching the replays each night. So keep that in mind. So I'm going to post the details of the mastermind in the group, but really the key objective of this is to help you get clear on your goals, your vision, understand your greater awareness of values and beliefs. Also identify your beliefs and all of the resistance and the blocks that are actually holding you back, but not only identify them, actually transcend them. Okay, because we are going to help you inwardly align so that you can outwardly manifest these goals and desires. Because the other thing as well, just on that note, there was one thing as well that I wanted to, where's my other? Because also with your resistance as well, and this is something that you do have to watch out for, is often when it comes to behaviors, people will say, and I had somebody on the last course do this. We got on the phone. This was the one that she got offered the TV contract. And she was like, I'm scared. And I got straight on the phone to her and I was like, she said, I don't think that I want to do it. And I was like, why don't you want to do it? And she said, it's not in alignment. And I was like, bullshit. This is so in alignment. And she was like, no, it's not. And so this is really important, that you've got to have a look. Is the excuse that I don't want to do this because it's not in alignment and it's not what I wanted, actually just because you have resistance to truly getting what you want? So luckily, I was able to get on the phone to her straight away, call her out on that. She could see the big picture. And yes, she's now brushing up on her TV presenting skills. She messaged me last night, and she starts her paid TV contract. That not only does she have a paid TV contract, but she didn't take the first offer that they gave her. Like, she actually went back and negotiated and got exactly the pay that she wanted. I wish that you could see her from the beginning until now, because, trust me, at the beginning, she was not a girl that was going to go and ask for more money. She would have probably said, oh, I'll just do it for free just to help out. But once you do raise your self-worth, once you know what it is that you want, opportunities just start to fall into place. Katana, that was you saw her shift, didn't you? It was pretty phenomenal. It was so beautiful. Okay, so there are only 3 things that we have control over, and it is our perceptions. It's our perceptions, it's our decisions, and it's our actions. And when you master these, you start to master your mind, not letting your mind be your master. Okay, that's what this mastermind is about. Now, the format is much different to what I've done in previous in previous programs, and that is that the format of this is that I upload the lessons as pre-recorded videos, and I do this so that you've just got the content there and you can go back and actually look at it. And then when we have the coaching calls, we have a couple of coaching calls each week, and there's an opportunity for everyone to, whatever it is that you're going through, so you are getting coaching every single week. You can jump onto, if there's 2 calls a week, you can jump onto both of them. Everyone will get an opportunity, so that you're constantly uncovering those blocks and those resistance. And for many of you, possibly even resetting your goals. You possibly find that what you set at the beginning, you outgrow it really quickly. Yeah, because I had one of the ladies on their last round, because her goal was to generate, to build a business that was $650K a year, and she was like totally not even there. But when she hit 360K within 7 weeks, I dare say she's going to adjust that goal. So you will transcend your goals. That will happen. So I'm going to post the details up of that. I'll post all the details up with the structure, all the rest of it. Leslie's volunteered to do some mindset work with us at the end of today's call. But today's challenge, okay, I want you to experience what mindset work is. And in order to experience mindset work, we have to first have a goal. So I'm going to give you all the common goal, even though I know that that all of you can't even fit into this goal, because I don't have space on the program. But I want you to ask yourself, let's just assume that you've got a goal that you actually want to get on the mastermind program. What is your resistance to joining the mastermind program? Okay, what is your resistance? Because this will actually speak volumes about what your resistance is with many of your many of your transformational goals. Okay, so ask yourself, what is the resistance? Answer that question quite a few times. Don't just stop at one, but ask yourself, what is your resistance to joining the mastermind program? And by the way, if you don't have any resistance, just message me and I'll send you through the link to register. Okay, so awesome. I'm so excited. Now, tomorrow we are going to be looking at the 3 fantasies that block us in actually going for our goals. Okay, the 3 fantasies. So tomorrow is going to be super cool. I'm really excited about tomorrow, because also with tomorrow, once you've got that formula, you've got it for life. Every time you set a goal, you can go back to that formula and just check it off. Does it fit within these three strategies that I'm going to give you? So thank you so much I've gone over time just a little smidge. That's okay, but thank you so much for joining day 3 of the 5-day challenge. Was that valuable to those that were on today's call? Did you enjoyed that? Okay, awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much for being here. Now, you're welcome. If you've got to race off, that's absolutely fine, but you are welcome to stay on and watch in while Leslie, I'm just going to unmute you. So I've not met Leslie before or worked with her, other than sort of met her inside the Facebook group. So I'm just going to ask you a few questions, Leslie, before we get going. First of all, thank you so much for volunteering. Very.
Oh, wow. It must be bigger than both of us, because I feel a bit like that massive volcano in Hawaii, and I can feel that hot energy just racing through me like, oh my God, something huge is happening.
This is happening. So make sure you're sitting down.
I'm sitting down and I'm hanging on.
Great. Okay, so first of all, Leslie, can I ask you, when you did I'm assuming that you did day 1 challenge, what is it that you want? And have you been able to sort of over the past couple of days identify any resistance? Let's start on what is it that you want, first of all?
Well, I want a beautiful life. I want a life, as I said in one of my messages to you.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of sort of climbing up those huge mountains on my hands and knees. I really want to take the chairlift.
Beautiful.
And I've done everything that a seemingly physical possibility of doing.
Okay, perfect. So can I just ask you a little bit deeper? What does that actually look like? What does this beautiful life, is a beautiful life, like what does that actually look like? Will you be living in the same place? Will you be working at the same place? Will you be hanging out with the same people? What does this beautiful life actually?
I don't actually have any of that. A beautiful life for me would be one with a clear thinking mind. I don't have a mind. I was born dyslexic and I couldn't read and write for 50 years, but I've spent 47 years in the medical industry. Yep. And I was being called and called and called from the industry, but I just kept changing roles and bartering, you know, but I could feel that volcano. I could feel that call. So I took part-time and, you know, like bargained. In the end, it took me. Yeah. And I got up morning and there's no mind, there's no memory, there's 0 point reality. I didn't know who I was, and I've been 5 years in this place of no memory. Every study, every training, every book, every modality has gone. And when I ask my heart, why is that so? It tells me I didn't need all of that intellectual. That's why I was born dyslexic. That's why I came from the manufacturer with the doors closed.
Beautiful. So you can live in the moment.
Well, so I could live in the moment, and I'm here for something else. You know, being dyslexic, the wiring is different. And so I've always known I'm here for something else, but I've always been drawn to suffering and prisons and suffering and being in prison. And so the worst possible situations and scenarios in life, I've been drawn to those places. Okay. I always say I'm an impossible life to make possible, a tragic existence to find the magic, and every physical disorder to find that order. Now, I've done all of that, and so I say, what now?
Okay, so can just so in there, is a clear thinking mind really what you want here? Is that you want to be able to think clearly and see your path? And let me just reframe that a different way. What is it that would get you out of this sort of self-imposed prison? Because, by the way, we're all in prisons, but the door's open.
I know that. I know that. All of my learning and all of my 65 years here has been done by default. It has been done ask about face. It's been done through the suffering and then found the joy. Okay. So when you say to me, well, I'm in a place now where I can just totally pick joy, I can pick beautiful, I can pick, but I don't know what that is.
Okay, so what do you think would help you discover that? What do you think what belief system could we break down right now for you that would enable you to actually be able to find that magic for you?
I don't know what belief system. Well, it's a belief obviously about this self and my role in the world.
Okay. Can I just ask you what did your parents believe about you?
That I had the wrong ear tag and I needed to be sent back, like one of the cattle with the wrong ear tag. I was a girl and I needed to be a boy. And so my only saving grace was that I was going to get an education and I might be worth being here on the planet. So when I got to school, the most diligent student I have been all my life, but being dyslexic, I couldn't form the letter. I couldn't write the word is.
Yeah. Okay.
And so all my life, the only way out of that torturous life was try and get an education and get away.
Okay, so if that's what your parents believed about you, I'm just going to run this by you, and I just want you to check in with yourself as I say these words and see if this resonates with you as a belief that we could look at transforming for you. And that is,
but it's the father, mother loved with all my heart, father.
Okay. So it was your father that thought that you were wrong and that you should have been a boy.
Totally
And
wrong.
you should
Totally.
have. You shouldn't have had dyslexia. Okay.
And most of all, I shouldn't have been a girl.
Yes, you should have been. Yeah, you should have been your father thought you should have been a boy. You should have. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Great. We're getting somewhere here, Leslie. What if you were to believe with every cell in your body that I am worthy and right exactly the way I am?
It's like I've spent 30 years trying to make myself believe that very thing that you said. And so but I'm still getting in life a picture back that I don't fit anywhere and I'm not right. I'm still getting the experiences coming back to me that there's no place here for me.
Okay. Okay. So I am worthy and okay. So what about if we looked at then I am worthy and a perfect fit exactly the way I am?
Yeah, that's all. That's words, and I'm willing to go with that.
Okay, no, that's fine. You don't need to believe it just yet.
Right.
Give me 5 minutes. Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Be brave.
Okay. So what we're going to do now is a process called Psych-K. There's many ways that you can transform beliefs. Lots of people use tapping, but I use a process called Psych-K. I'm an advanced practitioner. That's why I'm able to actually just, I'm over on this end. You can't see my hands, but I'm actually muscle testing on behalf of Leslie, because it's a kinesiology-based process. For those that I talk about Bruce Lipton a lot. Bruce Lipton, love his work. Dr. John Demartini and Joe Dispenza are probably my biggest influences in everything that I do. And obviously,
and in saying that, I so know that, Donna. I know that about you. I know that about them. I've done all of their work since they came into existence. Every one of them. I've spent 40 years doing all of their work, and it's like I just can't do it myself. So you doing it with me will be helpful.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so Leslie, you're sitting down right now?
Yes, I am.
Perfect. I'm just going to quickly hook into your energy and start muscle testing on your behalf. Don't worry, I ask your higher self permission before I actually do this. I don't just go in. You'll let me know if this is okay. So it's safe and appropriate for me to surrogate for Leslie. Systems are ready. Okay, show me yes, show me no. Isn't that interesting? You're dyslexic and your yes and no are back to front when I muscle test. Like,
of course I know. See, the wiring is back to front. Yes.
That's so cool. Okay, so Leslie, show me yes. Okay, so Leslie, show me. Okay, perfect. So I just know that that's the opposite. That's fine. I can work with this. Okay, this is the highest priority statement. Okay. Okay, Leslie, what I want you to do is I want you to now I've got to think because it's back to front from what I'm used to. Okay, so what I would like you to do is I'd like you to put your left leg over your right ankle for me. And then put your right wrist over your left wrist like that, and then go like that, and then just drop your hands into your right wrist over the top of your left wrist, and then just roll them in together and just pop them in your lap. Okay, just so that you're comfortable. Okay, so I just want you to sit there with your head just in a natural position, but just to glance your eyes down towards the floor without moving your head. And I want you to say out loud 3 times, I am worthy and a perfect fit exactly the way I am.
I am worthy and a perfect fit exactly the way I am.
Say it 2 more times, please.
I am worthy and a perfect fit exactly the way I am. I am worthy and a perfect fit exactly the way I am.
Now close your eyes for me And what I want you to do is I want you to just keep saying this statement over and over again. I am worthy and a perfect fit, exactly the way I am. And as you're saying this statement to yourself over and over again, Leslie, I want you to imagine what it feels like when you know with absolute certainty that you are a perfect fit and you are worthy exactly the way you are, because you are. And I want you to imagine how your life might not change, but I want you to imagine how you show up into the world when you know with certainty that you're worthy and that you do fit in and that you are a perfect fit and exactly the way that you are. So just keep imagining, and then start to feel a sense of gratitude that I'm so grateful that I am worthy in this form that I am. And I'm so grateful that I know with certainty that I am a perfect fit exactly the way that I am. So I'm just going to leave you to imagine that for me, and just imagine how that feels, what that looks like. Just generate a sense of gratitude that I'm so grateful that I was born the way that I am, and I'm so worthy in this form. So I am worthy and a perfect fit exactly the way I am.
Yeah. I have a blank canvas.
Okay, how does that feel?
It's a feeling of, I'd say, nothingness. There are no feelings. It's like that place before a feeling.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So what's the benefit to you of being a blank canvas from this point forward?
Well, I've been a blank canvas for quite a while, but I don't know the benefits of it, but I'm willing to explore what that might be from this moment forward. I don't know that there's no answer for that for me.
Okay.
But I'm willing to explore.
Perfect. Beautiful. And so now when you say I am worthy, how does that feel to you?
I am worthy. I am worthy. Yeah, it just straight away I go to that place of nothingness. I've always said I have a sense of feeling everything in the nothing and nothing in the everything.
Okay. So when you say to yourself, I am worthy, do you believe that to be true?
Yeah, but I see my brain hovering around, wanting to something. Like spark, things are igniting and sparks. Something's wanting to interfere.
Okay. Okay. What is that? What part of you? Is it a belief system that's trying to interfere with that?
It's a human trait in some way. It's like that experience. It's like that memory of experiences in some way.
Okay. Is it anything coming from your dad that's trying to interfere with that?
Well, I was born with a no matter that I love no matter what, and that's the life that I've lived. And so it's sort of that fireworks between he and I. You know, he loved to bash and the world, and my job was to seemingly to love what is, but I didn't love the cruelty and the bashing and the suffering. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now when you say that, so now when you say I'm a perfect fit exactly the way I am, now that we've done that, how does that feel to you? Do you believe that to be true?
100% believe that to be true, but my brain says fit for what?
Well, that's day one's challenge, was where you actually worked out.
And my day one's challenge and my goal was to have a beautiful life. So
okay, so I would love you, in addition to today's challenge, to actually now that you've transformed that belief system, and just notice that it just came from your dad. That I don't fit came from your dad. And if I'm sure as well that if you have a look at it, it's just a bunch of his shit. Like it probably wasn't even anything to do with you.
No, it's the masculine, and I can see that, but it's gone all the way through life.
Yeah,
balancing, harmonizing that masculine, feminine energy.
Yeah, beautiful. So please revisit your goals. And what I'd love you to do is I'd love you to imagine what a beautiful life looks like to you. Now, a beautiful life, like, are the external circumstances the same? Do you behave differently? So have a look at today's class. Like, what are the beliefs that you would have in order to have a beautiful life? What are the behaviors that you would do to have a beautiful life? How willing would you be to, well, I can see that you're willing to transform. So that's, I think, can everyone agree? I think Leslie's got that one nailed. She's invested in transformation. But have a look, even the willingness to transform into I'm worthy. So ask yourself, what does that actually look like, and delve a little bit deeper now that you're looking from a slightly different perspective.
Yes, and I did notice on my hands in the shower this morning, so this is perfect timing, because I noticed on my palm of my left hand the ley lines of planet Earth just all showed up on my left hand. Like, when I looked at my hand in the shower, I could see all these lines standing out from my hand that weren't actually ever there before, noticeable. And I was so freaked out with these lines on my hand, I popped on Facebook and said, does any of the palm readers out there throw any light on this? And straight up, a yogi from India said straight away that, it was very, very good, actually. It said, I'm exactly right. They are the ley lines, and I can create my new life, a new reality. Like, it's the time for a new world to be built for me.
Beautiful. What a beautiful sign. What a beautiful sign.
Yeah. So I feel really, really blessed. So thank you, and thank you for your beautiful work.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for volunteering. I'm sure that was that valuable to people to see that. Yeah. It's always and this is why I've changed the format of the next mastermind, so that there's more time with you guys actually transforming, because each time you witness somebody transform, you can't help but have a shift inside yourself. And there's a scientific reason for this as well. Like, when we actually have a look at the way that the brain is wired, we all have mirror neurons. So for example, if you were actually to hook up to a scanner, like a scanner that was in real life, and actually, like, if you looked at somebody that was, I'll use something that's actually a physical thing, because that probably make more sense. If you were to actually watch somebody throwing a ball and you were focusing on it, and you were to scan that person that was throwing a ball, there'd be certain areas of their brain that lit up. If you were to the person that was watching the person throwing the ball, the same areas of your brain light up. So we have these mirror neurons. And so I think partly this is why when you hear that advice, you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. It's because we do have these mirror neurons. And so this is how we learn patterns. This is how you learn these beliefs as a kid, because when you actually witnessed your parents behaving in this way, when you witnessed them actually saying things or doing things that supported a particular belief system, your brain just started to wire that way.
Yeah.
And that's really all it is. And the most beautiful thing about this is your brain is plastic. Your brains are plastic, so you can change them. Like, you are not at the mercy of what you were handed, because the majority I'm yet to find somebody that's experienced a childhood that ticked every single box for them. You know, and some people's are more extreme than others. Often the people that do have more extreme childhoods, I've known from working with them, are the ones that end up having the greatest breakthroughs and have the greatest gifts that they give to the world, because there's such a void that's created in their reality. So just, you know, it's just, your brain has just been taught to fire a particular way. That's all the belief system is. We can change this. So Leslie, usually at this point I would ask people, what are 3 behaviours that you could do that would actually support this? But straight away, the behaviour that I'd love you to do is, when you're going back and revisiting day one's challenge, I want you to remind yourself that actually exploring what a beautiful life actually is, and the beliefs and the behaviours that that person has, or that you have when you're experiencing that, that's you knowing with certainty that you are worthy. And by the way, you do know you are worthy. Otherwise, you know, like when people say, I don't feel worthy, it's like, well, if you didn't feel worthy, we wouldn't even be having this conversation, because, you know, we don't try to help people that we don't think are worthy. Okay, so keep, you know, that's like a bit of a brain tease just there. So just by you showing up, I already know that you know that you're worthy. It's just that the dominant part that has believed the, you know, the bullshit from your dad has told you that maybe I'm not. So when you're writing down what it is that a beautiful life looks, I just want you to remind yourself that this is what someone does when they know that they're worthy, and that you are, and remind yourself that this is what it looks like when I know that I'm a perfect fit. This is me being a perfect fit in the way I am.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, everyone, for sticking around and witnessing that. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow on day 4, where we debunk the 3 fantasies. We look at the 3 fantasies that are blocking you with your goals. So post up today's challenge. I'll be posting the details of the mastermind in the group right now. So if you do want to register for that, just flick me a message and I'll send you a link. Okay. Thanks so much, everyone. Enjoy your Wednesday. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Leslie.